lot of stuff happening, right? And one of the things I wanted to talk about is, Lord have mercy, Jada. Lord, talk about mind, body, energy, out of balance. Girl, shut up. Like, why? Why, baby? Why?
Welcome to the Mind Body Energy Imbalance podcast.
Peace and love, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Mind, Body, Energy, and Balance podcast. I'm your favorite host, indeed your favorite auntie, Mind, Body, Energy, and Balance coach, Coach Samut, known as Mama Yoga. And I hope you had a great day and having a great day. What's up, Flo?
Hey, what's going on, everybody? What's going on, Mama Yoga? Another day, another podcast episode. Let's get to it.
Yep, another way to get it done for sure. That's for sure. All right, so it's a lot happening in the media. It's a lot of things going on, a lot of energy dynamics. As you can probably tell if you're watching this on YouTube, I'm in my car. So it is what it is. We still got to keep it rolling, keep it moving. I'm pulled over though, nicely. Not driving and podcasting. That is, don't sound like a recipe for a win.
Right.
Not driving and podcasting. But it's a lot of stuff happening, right? And one of the things I wanted to talk about is, Lord have mercy, Jada. Lord. Talk about mind, body, energy, out of balance. Girl, shut up. Like, why? Why, baby? Why? Oh, my Lord. Now that I'm done rolling in the floor, I can have a queen mother, high priestess approach as opposed to an emotional temper tantrum about people who really don't have no, input into my life.
Yeah, yeah.
I had my temper tantrum. Now let's have a grown ass, high spiritual, high level, as they say, discussion. But you can have your temper tantrum too if you want. How you feel about the whole Jada discussion about her and Will? I mean, really.
I've always been confused about celebrities and their marriage. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of times we grow up thinking that love and marriage is about one thing. And that's about actually loving and liking each other. But for most people, it's not, especially when you're in Hollywood. It's a
Yep.
business.
Yep.
Business contract, right? So, I was told this by, numerous of people that let's
Mm-hmm.
take Steve Harvey, for example, right?
Mm-hmm.
Steve Harvey, got his wife and everything like that. Amongst the rumblings of them making it work or not making it work, we don't know. But
Right.
when it comes to the business that they're in, couples seem to
Mm-hmm.
flourish. So when you just happen to have somebody by your side, doors seem to open up because that's just the visual that people like to paint.
Mm-hmm.
When you talk about Will and Jada, I mean, Jada can tell you how many times does she have to tell you that Will is just not, has never been the love of her life, but they have this thing going on. They have this brand. Remember before
Mm-hmm.
social media came out, is everybody wanted to be like Will and Jada. Whether you did or you
Right.
didn't, subconsciously you did because it was like goals, right? You know,
Mm-hmm.
he would always, put her at the forefront. And anytime they was on the red carpet, he was Will Smith, this good guy. Of course, we don't know these people personally, but it's the image.
Right.
And
Right.
Jada was just like every man's crush, at a time, right? Jada was like the girl to be with. And
Mm-hmm.
they just had this image. And that's the key
Mm-hmm.
word, this image. And
Right.
for the sake of Jada, I guess this is this free thing, this
Mm-hmm.
self, just telling people what's really going on. For me, I'm going to number one sell my book,
Mm-hmm.
speak my truth. Now,
Right.
as far as Jada and truth goes, this is a different era where everybody feels like they want to speak their truth, right? And sometimes your truth can be a nuisance to the audience that you're actually trying to speak your truth with because you really think people are really thinking about you as to what's going on in your life. Obviously, nobody is asking Jada, any of these questions if she's not
Right.
putting herself out there to be asked those questions. We're really not concerned on whether if you
Mm-hmm.
will or happy or not. We visualize you as this power couple, and that's that. So
Yeah.
As far as Jada, I really don't know what to say about Jada personally because she just falls under that umbrella of celebrities who are
Mhm.
forced to do a certain activity, which is stay married, and
Mhm.
you know, it just shows you the different side of marriage. If that
Right.
makes sense.
Right. Well, my thing is, Hollywood, as somebody who was, a little tiny uh eye droplet in the entertainment industry. I got a very kind of a bird's eye view of how things work when I was working in New York and modeling and all of that. And people make arrangements, even amongst wealthy people. Having so many wealthy clients over these last 30 years, I've been able to sit in the crow's nest in a lot of different dynamics, and people make arrangements, right? Arrangements that foster and that nurture and that further what it is they're trying to do collectively, right? They team up, if you will. And they're like, okay, I'm this way and you're that way, but together we can make, quote unquote, the buzzword nowadays is a brand that we can really do well with. I think when Will Smith smacked Chris Rock, I still stand on, I believe it was staged. I really do. Chris Rock took that slap so well. He was braced in his core. And I know this is going out live, but it's my opinion. They don't know me. I don't know them. They ain't got to hear about it, whatever. I'm just saying two things occurred to me at the Oscars because I was watching it in real time. One, Will Smith had just got done playing Richard Williams, who was kicking people ass about his family. That's how he lost his front teeth. Richard Williams was a man who would stand fisticuffs with gang members to get them off the courts so his daughters could play. So taking on that persona, being a method actor, sometimes it takes them months to get out of that character. So that's one thing, right? I think Will was still pretty much in character. And the other thing is, I think it was not a happenstance that he got smacked. I really think it was something, right? So bringing me fast forward to Jada talking about in connection with that, I didn't like that she was vilified. Like it's always Eve. Like this whole society, everything is the woman's fault. Like everything, So people just vilified Jada. Will had a choice. He could have not smacked that man. Ain't nobody flip a switch in the back of his neck and say, go up there and hit that man because he side-eyed your wife. So everything is the woman's fault. I didn't care for that. But now we fast forward and you tell us that since 2016 y'all have been separated. Why go all off on the man if y'all not together like that? You know what I'm saying? Like it's really, the bottom line is it's stuff that we can't see, that we are not seeing, that is taking place amongst those people. It's back of the room stuff that's happening, as to we don't, all we see is what's presented out front and what gets the algorithms going and get people all pissed off and upset and all in a furor, saying that she's cucking Will and emasculating. Everything is, Jada is just the evil one and Will is the good, fabulous, big, handsome, victim.
Well,
Yeah.
okay. So I'll two things real quick though. I think you kind
Mhm.
of answered it. I think you kind of answered it, right? Right? Because Will smacking Chris Rock has no justification for them as a brand. So if
Right.
the majority of what they're doing is built on brand, I think that
Mhm.
what you said is the perfect answer, and it's the best answer that I've heard. Will is still in that, which is kind of it answers the question of how he changed so quickly.
Yup.
He went from laughing to wait a minute, I need to do something
Yup.
about this because he
Yup.
just got finished playing a role as to where if you talk about his family, anything about his
Yup.
family, he goes into
He
attack mode.
coming for you. Yup.
Right. So I think that was the perfect answer. Anything other than that, to me, it doesn't make sense, right? Because Jada is telling you, I never told him to do that. We were just,
Mhm.
we were just, Op, right? We were just there for the pictures and to look like a happy family. We weren't. Will knows we weren't. We weren't husband and wife since 2016. But if something snaps in you, and
Mm-hmm.
of course, he see. Remember, he went to therapy after this. He just didn't go to therapy just because he smacked somebody. You don't go to therapy.
Right.
He went to therapy after this, right? So obviously, he
Right.
was trying to get away from or trying to break free from possibly a powerful character that kind of like
Mm-hmm.
had him in a chokehold. And we've seen
Yup.
this a few times. We've seen Michael B. Jordan have to go to therapy after Killmonger. We've
Yup.
seen a few other guys like, hey, I'm not doing that role no more. I'm not playing that role because it took me so long to get out of it. So I really think that
Yup.
you answered it honestly about Will. And
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
no, I think the second part, we use like Will Smith. Um, I forgot what I was going to say, but I just think that for with Jada, I'm just a big component of energy, right? Especially like off this
Right.
podcast and energy.
Yup.
And if Will represents a more weaker energy, and we all know
Mm-hmm.
Jada is more of a she's a dominant energy, and Will isn't,
Mm-hmm.
and Jada's going to do whatever Will allows him to do. So I
Mm-hmm.
understand that some people are feeling bad for Will, and it's not that we feel bad for Will. We just know that Will
Mm-hmm.
has he doesn't have the energy to actually combat Jada. He
Well,
doesn't.
I don't believe that. I believe
Okay.
that again, they are playing the sentiments of people. I really, because in those arenas, and I don't think Will is a victim in that way. He doesn't have the energy to combat Jada. I just think that he feels like, let me tell you something, honey. There's some shit we ain't seeing behind the scenes. People make arrangements for the lifestyles that they have and the lifestyles that they want to live. Let me ask you this. Let me not do that. Don't do that. Some things as a spiritualist and as an energetically sensitive person and a person who has both the blessing of and the challenge of being very observant. You just got to kind of not say, right? But I'm telling you, knowing how Hollywood and entertainment based relationships work. There's some things behind the scenes that we are not seeing, obviously. And Will is not this innocent this little tiny 5'2". He got 10 inches of height and probably 100 pounds of muscle, as well as being a very, very, very intelligent man. This little 5'2" woman is not have him by the short hairs, just doing whatever she want with Mr. Willard Smith, right? My thing is, and why I was saying, Jada, just hush up, child, be quiet. Why we have an image of them, and it seems like every time she opens her mouth, that image gets a bit distorted or harpooned. And then the other thing that has come to my spirit that I will share is that it's kind of like she's kind of like the world is like her therapist. That red table talk, like all these, the world is like her therapist. She's like, we haven't been together since 2016. Like she have to like justify herself. Oh, I was addicted to porn. Oh, I'm screwing my son's friend. Like, well, girl, shut up.
Jesse
Like,
Jesse came out and said that because I know that
huh?
was the story, but I haven't seen the clips of her actually coming out and admitting, yeah, I screw. That I have never heard. I have yet to hear her acknowledge that. Hey, I'm sleeping with my son's friend and saying in those words, hey, I'm addicted to
No, she
porn.
didn't say I sleep. No, she used a very famous now term. I was in an entanglement with
Okay.
August Alsino. And we knew all, I mean, Will, he sat there looking like he was looking. Everybody knew what it was. She slept with, she was having sex with her, that young man. And it's not even about him being her son's friend. It really is about, well, I guess that is the worst part of it, because if you're a regular woman out here and you dating somebody, you were 40 and the person is 23,
And I
Legally,
invite
they.
I invite you over to the house, not to mess with my mom, but we're friends. So yeah, there's
Yeah,
problems
I guess
there.
that is the thing, that
Yeah.
the person was your son's friend. I guess that is the, and that the young man had a lot of concerns and everything. Anyway, you know, there's my whole point. Let's pull it back to mind body energy, because this is not a gossip channel.
Hmm.
My whole point is, people, there are things behind the scenes that we don't see. We don't know the real reason that the union of the Smith Pinkett Smith dynamic is there. We don't know the real reason behind these comments and her putting these statements out, when it seems like to us it's just really like, girl, shut up. But it just may be, they may be crazy like a fox and getting exactly what they want. Really, they're the puppet masters, and we're the ones talking about them for weeks and weeks and weeks. So you just never know. So we all need to just pull our own energies in. Okay, it's all right to have a look at that, but then the real thing is to focus on you and what you're doing with your life. How about that?
Hmm.
That's that. That is that, honey.
That's why when it comes to these celebrities, it doesn't matter what their name is. If they're celebrities, you just got to learn to ignore them because you don't know what
Yup.
the end game is. You don't know what the real story is.
Nope.
Will Smith is somewhere jumping out of airplanes. He be like,
Yup.
this doesn't affect him. Bad Boys 4 is still coming. Any movie he's working on is still coming. This doesn't affect him at all.
He's still getting paid, and guess what? Jada book is flying off the shelf.
Yeah,
Guess what? Chris Rock made $50 million off of that slap. I mean, what we talking about here?
yeah,
We on outside of that, those bubbles, those entertainment bubbles are aghast and clutching the pearls. And you know what they doing? Making it rain wherever the hell they at.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Right, because you can actually go, man. After that slap, where are we going to go from here? Boy, the marketing
Right.
team on that side is amazing. Because look who's at the forefront of the media.
Yup. Absolutely.
Funny.
Absolutely. So pull your energy in, people. I pulled my in. Initially, I was like, girl, shut up. But then, maybe that's what you do. People are interested in salacious and, terrible stuff. People, our videos, when we did those videos about the black man being, the best man in the world, we got like 2,000 views. We went viral. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
When I sit up here and talk about the chakras and the energy, we get like 20 views, 5 views. People are interested in,
A train
the
wreck.
disaster of
Yep.
life. So she said, okay, that's what they're interested in. We know that's not who we are. We take our $1 billion brand and keep it rolling. Right. So moving on, speaking of chakras, let me get the algorithm a moment. So, in the Chakra Healing and Balance workbook, we are talking about the solar plexus. And the solar plexus is the chakra energy, is more concentrated between the navel and the rib cage, right? Actually, from the top of the pelvis on up, the navel and the rib cage. That's the solar plexus. The solar plexus is an energy that produces courage. It is in the Sanskrit language called Manipura or Manipura. Excuse me. Pardon me. It is Manipura or Manipura, and it produces a sense of courage, of executive function and decision. It is that gut instinct that we talk about. Like a friend of mine used to say, Samut, I appreciate your intestinal fortitude. Right? That's the solar plexus in the chakra system, and that solar plexus helps you get stuff done. In one of our previous podcasts, we talked about the 5 things that matter to you the most in your life and pouring into each of those things throughout the day. right? At some point, if you, whatever those five things are, you take time throughout your day to touch on each one of those five things in terms of your time, your energy, your focus, your attention, right? The keeping that focus directed is the solar plexus. Is the gut instinct, is the getting the things done and making sure that you follow through with what it is that you say you're going to do. The interesting thing about that solar plexus is, and relating it to the gut, 80% of our health and vitality or our immunity is in the gut. And so much of the population has trouble with gut health nowadays because the food is plastic. The food is synthetic. There's no nutrients in the food that we're eating, right? It's just basically a placeholder. In fact, the science is now showing that the food that we're eating, most people who are obese or overweight are really malnutritioned, really malnourished, because the food that's being consumed, the body is just storing because it doesn't know what to do with it. It cannot absorb the proper nutrients and then burn it up like it needs to. So it's like, I don't know what this is. Wait a minute, hold on. Did this used to be a yoga mat? Is this the same plastic that they make water bottles out of that you just done ate? Oh, okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to wall that off. And how the body walls off something it doesn't know what to do with, you guessed it, it walls it off in a pocket of fat. So if a person, that's why if a person eats a raw salads for a week, they will immediately begin to notice a difference. It's not that the salads are weight reducing. It's that the body has found some substance that it knows what to do with, and your cells are getting nourished. So the nourishing, you're feeding your cells by eating those raw fruits and vegetables, and then the body says, okay, let's go to work. We could burn up this stuff that's hanging on, this yoga mat over here on your hip, and this, Pepsi Cola bottle that's over here off hanging off your back, making back wings. The food that we are eating is wholly synthetic, which produces a state of, that sends the body into a state of protection. And what that protection looks like is being overweight, obese, too much fat on the body, is all stored materials that the body doesn't know what to do with. So the solar plexus, you can't break down what you're eating because there's not enough gut health. That solar plexus, the energetic aspect of the solar, the stomach, is the solar plexus, and that's the chakra energy aspect of that. The physiological aspect is the gut health. So combining and repairing, healing the two of them by doing certain breathing in the abdomen area, as well as making sure that you eat foods and fruits and vegetables that are actual real foods. You then heal up both the psychic and the energetic perspectives of your abdominal and stomach region, as well as the gut health, which then increases your psychic protection and your physical protection. So that solar plexus is all important. It is very, very, very important. Can you think of some foods that you can eat that can help increase your gut health?
Can I?
Yeah, the other people can't hear me.
I know. I'm listening to you. I know that I can't because my food. I've always had a weird selection of eating, and that's just something that
Mhm.
I'm going to have to deal with. Because as
Mhm.
you sit here and talk, I can sit up here and say that, hey, unbeknownst to me, I
Right.
I might have devoured some plastic or some chemicals. Right. So as I'm
You
listening to
got a
you,
yoga mat.
Hey, yeah. Plus, I'm listening to you talk. I'm thinking about, well, how the intermittent fasting probably it slows that down because the
Right.
objective is for you to eat less so you can burn more. But if your body
Mhm.
doesn't know what is burning, if it can't use it for to burn, you
Mhm.
might really just be limiting the yoga mass that you're eating, but you're not burning, right? Because
Right.
intermittent fasting is for you to burn off the food, the stored food that's there, and to
Mhm.
less calories because the less you eat and you give your body an opportunity to actually burn off what's already in there. But once again, if your
Mhm.
body does not know that it has to burn these things off. So I'm just sitting here thinking like what adjustments I can make. And
Right.
something that came to my mind, honestly, as you was talking, I was sitting here thinking, and I'm not going to say their name because we don't get paid, but there is
Right.
a company that I was thinking about that I ordered from where you get like a box of food delivered to your home.
Yep.
For those of us that aren't chefs, that
Yeah.
that want to get into like being a vegan or some fresh food or something like that, it gives you an option to select what type of eater you are, meat eater or veggie eater or vegan, and you can actually order a week of food. And
Mhm.
that was on my mind as well. It's costly, but everything's costly,
Yeah.
right? When you go to these
Yeah.
restaurants and you're spending $30, $40 a night, and you do that all week,
Mhm.
you could have bought yourself a week's supply of fresh food. So there are options out there, right? Let's just not just go
Mhm.
down to the kitchen, right? Because let's just say you listen to this podcast and you are motivated to eat better, and you go downstairs in the kitchen and you realize you didn't shop for the occasion. It's okay.
Right.
There's no time to
Mhm.
panic. Google is your friend. Asking for help is your friend. Mama Yoga is your friend. Reach out to
Mhm.
Mama Yoga.
Mhm.
Reach out to some people who have. It's about having that conversation, right? It's just about, hey, what are we going to do to make sure that we are eating healthy? Because right now we are all out here eating crap, right? So
Yeah.
consistently, do I have a answer? I don't, but this is something that I'm going to be looking into because I'm learning on the fly with you guys. So I'm on the pod, but I'm learning
Yeah.
with you guys that are listening.
Yeah. So I mean that's all good and I'm learning too actually, I mean even though this is my lifestyle and but I'm forever in the space of learning as well. So let me just drop a few things you can do to increase your gut health, right? One is you could take a probiotic, right? You can get a good quality probiotic, even though they're not sponsoring our show. I would suggest don't get one from GNC or any of these places. I would suggest Enzymedica. They are an excellent company, and when you open your probiotic, you want to keep them in the refrigerator because you want the cultures in that probiotic to stay alive. So open them, keep them in the fridge, take one a day on an empty stomach or something like that, right? Or take it, you could even take them at night. Before you go to bed, once you're done eating, what they do is they put all the good bacteria back in your gut so that your belly can do the job it's supposed to do, your gut, right? Another thing I want to suggest is you can eat fermented foods, which are amazing for gut health, right? They are a bit of a prebiotic. That is, it gives you the fiber that you need to grow the good bacteria. So, fermented foods are kimchi, sauerkraut, kombucha, tea. Those are fermented foods. And you can have some of that to your discretion. Some people are sensitive to the acidic aspect of those fermented foods. And even though they have a certain acidic aspect, the body produces an alkalinity from consuming them. So it works together. Don't let nobody tell you you should be all alkaline or whatever, because the human body is a balance of both, right? Fermented foods. The other thing that you can eat or you can consume is raw fruits and vegetables, especially fruits with the skin. The skin produces a prebiotic state, which is it gives the body the fiber that it needs to begin to create and feed the good bacteria in your belly. So if you have apples, you don't want to peel the apples. This is why We want to buy organic, or you want to go to a farm that rotates the crops in, uses a rotated crop system, or an organic non pesticide produce system, and you want to eat the peels along with the fruit. Even when you eat oranges, you want to eat the pith, which is the white part inside of the orange. I know people peel the orange and they just throw the whole thing, the skin and everything away. No, a lot of it can be consumed. You want to eat that white part that's inside of the orange. It's very good for reducing mucus and helping the body reduce inflammation. It's very good as a prebiotic in the stomach to have a place for good bacteria to grow in the belly, which then helps your body eat up all of the stuff, all of the extra yoga mats hanging off of your back and under your arm. The Coca-Cola bottles and everything, these items that have all of these chemicals and these forever chemicals in them and stuff like that. That's a whole nother side note. We'll probably do a show about that next week, forever chemicals. Right? And so you want to eat the fiber around the fruits and vegetables that you consume. And those are just a few suggestions. And you want to eat, one more, I would be remiss, you want to eat as much raw food as you can. When you cook food and all you eat is cooked food, when you cook food, you kill the enzymes and the nutrients in the food. So for the most part, it's really kind of a placeholder. Now, some stuff we have to cook, meat, fish, any type of animal products, you need to put fire to them. Because they have a lot of bacteria, a lot of, parasites and worm possibilities. You got to put fire to any type of animal flesh type stuff, right? But fruits and vegetables, you want to wash them very well and make sure you eat them raw more often than cooking them. Or if you cook them, you want to steam them lightly, make them an al dente, if you will, and not when you pick it up it's like, it's just limp. It's like gone. It's no life in that. It's just a placeholder, you know. And the food is really changing too. We went to a restaurant yesterday, me and my baby sister, and I ordered broccoli. Honey, that broccoli was weird. And I love broccoli. I could just eat a plate of broccoli and be good to go. But the broccoli was weird. Like when I bit the broccoli, it was hollow inside. I was like, what's wrong with this broccoli? I could not eat that broccoli, child. Let me just tell you. So the food is really, really changing with these people having the capacity to make plastic cabbage and rice that's made out of plastic as well. We just, you really have to be mindful about what you're eating, and make sure that what you're buying is real, for sure. Absolutely. And that helps the solar plexus as well as the gut health, and that gives you the capacity to have the courage, the strength, and the intestinal fortitude. I love that term. To get done what you're trying to get done, for sure. Yeah. Any questions or comments, Flaw?
Yeah, I
Anything you want to
do.
share?
So as
Yeah.
far as us producing plastic for us to eat, I mean, is this like a connection to like the medical field? Like we want to make
Come
you
on
sick
now.
so you can buy medicine? Like, is this how this works? I'm trying to think like why are we producing plastic food?
So listen, y'all got to come to my closed sessions because these people are out here like a hawk, right? In the Christian Bible, they have where the so-called Pharaoh is running around looking for the Messiah so that they could kill the Messiah who is coming to deliver the people. Well, now in modern times, that is what's happening when people are shutting down your Facebook pages and your YouTube pages and pulling, what they call that, they shadow banning you so that nobody sees the message that you are trying to bring forward, right? The answer to that is 3 letters: FDA, the Food and Drug Administration. What does food have to do with drugs?
Hmm. Enough said. That's enough. Let's move on before they ban this.
We'll crop up somewhere else. We'll do like one of my virtual mentors. He got like 35 pages. But I guess you have to be a Gemini to be that, insistent upon getting stuff done. He got like all they keep shutting his pages down. He got like 25 pages, but now he's done what a lot of people are doing, and what we're going to eventually do too is you go to a network that allows you to create your own social media platform. So it's a closed loop so that you can talk to people that you need to talk to. Because not everybody is meant to talk to the entire world. We talked about this a lot of times. Oftentimes, you get on these social media platforms, and it's like putting a droplet in an ocean, right? So you want to pull in the people that you're meant to speak to, and then you want to pull them into a closed, safe space so that you can share what you need to share without it being a thing of people just shadow banning you and shutting you down because your message is not agreeing with the message of those people who want you to only hear buy this particular thing, or eat this, or you're supposed to take that, that want to censor in that way,
Right.
and so that's what we're doing.
Yep. Absolutely.
Did you have any other questions that's gonna get us in trouble?
No. No. Nope. I think that was it. But yep. That's really it. I'm gonna actually for myself. I was watching this video. You always got to stay motivated, right? Like I'm a gym guy,
Yep.
but even me, sometimes I'll be like, ah. And I watched this one video that came across my feed, and it's just
Mhm.
about the guys how they stay in the gym and they overtrain, right? So I think
Yep.
spend more time in the gym, but take breaks, but just relax. Because I have like an extended morning, right? If I get up at five
Mhm.
in the morning, like we talked about last week, and you're in the gym by six, I don't have to be home at 7 or 8 or 9. I can have an extended morning. In that extended morning, you can weight lift, take a break, right? The gym is huge. Take a break, do some cardio, take another
Mhm.
get hydrated, come, stay there, come back and do something else. Because what we also have to keep in mind is there's 24 hours in a day, there's 8 hours that
Mhm.
you sleep, and then there's that hour that you're in the gym. What
Mhm.
are you doing outside of that? Because of
Come
what you're
on now.
doing outside of that is more than what you're doing in that 60 minutes in the gym. You'll see some results, but it just might not be the results that you see. So
Right.
you gotta spend more time with what you're trying to do, right? So if you want to be the
Mhm.
greatest podcaster in the world, you have to be around podcasters. You got to podcast. You got to just train for it. You got to read up on it. You have to become who it is you're trying to become, right?
Absolutely.
So Monday, I cannot wait. And this is for the people listening that want to work
Mhm.
out, that want to see some results. I'm going to turn it up, but I'm not going to overwork
Mhm.
myself. Overworking myself is nonstop. I'm not going to do that.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
I'm gonna relax at the gym. I'm gonna relax for a few minutes, maybe like an hour, 30 minutes, get myself
Mhm.
together, and work on something else. Right. So this way, I'm
Right.
spending more time trying to put together a great specimen instead of just going home and just having the rest of the day to possibly do more bad than I did good. If that makes sense. So
Okay. All right. Well, we'll stay tuned to see how that works out. I'm
give
sure
me
there'll be some
2 months.
adjusting on the way.
Give me 2 months.
2 months. 2 months is the winter coming up. And I will talk about that next time too, the energy of the winter and all of that. But all right, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in, for listening. This has been another wonderful episode of the Mind, Body, Energy, and Balance podcast. And remember, keep your mind, body, and energy in balance, so much so that you walk in peace. We'll see you next time. Peace.